Hello there and welcome to Who Won E3, our flagship show every night of the big games conference in LA. I'm Dan Dawkins for GamesRadar and I'm joined by Leon Hurley, Executive News Editor of GamesRadar.
Hello.
And Joel Gregory, Editor of GamesMaster.
Hello.
Joel, it's been emotional. We're at the end of a spectacular day today. We've seen like all four of the platform holder press conferences. We saw Bethesda last night. I think maybe the context of the question, who won E3, has changed somewhat dramatically. Just to explain the show format to you a little bit, what we're going to do is try and come out with a definitive list of the best moments, games, things that have happened at E3. Every night we're going to thrash out the new list, so we'll see if something surges into the lead and gets usurped tomorrow or Wednesday. A pretty high bar set tonight, and as you can see, no expense spared on the production today. Who won E3? And to avoid the obvious joke, I'm going to answer it for you. Yeah, it's Sony.
Is that the end? Are we done? Are we done now?
We're done here. But we're not just going to do that. We're also going to come up with some moments. There we are. We've definitely planned this before.
This went well in rehearsal.
Just flip that over and I've dropped the pen. So I'll grab the pen.
Yeah, so it's a good job we are doing more, because that would be a one-word show, because it's really that obvious, isn't it, today?
It's been pretty clear what a good night it's been for Sony. But, I mean, let's wind it back. Let's go to Sunday, which feels like about a week ago. Bethesda Conference. Everyone was really buzzing on the back of the Bethesda Conference. In light of what's happened today, what would we throw forward for our nomination list?
I think the Bethesda Conference. I mean, obviously Fallout 4 is the star of that show, but I think the performance of Bethesda at their debut E3 conference in a nutshell deserves to be kind of seen as a positive light as a whole, because they did it basically perfectly. They had a few really good games that people wanted to know about, and they told us lots about them. They had a couple of other boxes they needed to tick of things that people probably weren't that interested in, but they knew that, and they got those dealt with very quickly. They gave away some free stuff. They did a, here's an app thing, and it's out right now, which everyone always loves. And they've got a big AAA game, and they gave us a release date of this year. So it was like all boxes ticked. Very nice, very charming, very self-aware, which a lot of these E3 press conferences fail to be. I think they did brilliantly.
Leon, I was going to say, call you Bethesda. Yeah. Hey, Bethesda. Leon, anything to add to that, or are we just going to go straight in?
No, I think that's exactly what they got right. Is they focus on what people cared about. There were some things they had to sort of mention, like Battle Cry. They just sort of went, and there's this, moved on really quickly. And it's something you saw, I think, with EA, where EA in their conference today, they kind of tried to treat everything like it was Fallout 4. So you had like a sort of a gameplay demo for mobile minions, and they treated everything like it was a huge deal, and sort of skipped over the fact that some people just like stopped taking notes when certain games came on.
We're going to commit to it. We're going for Bethesda's sexy debut.
It's a big pen, that, Dan.
Oh man,
it's almost impractically large.
It's almost like some sort of haiku writing. Bethesda's debut. There we go. They're in. So Bethesda's a lock. Bethesda's debut is in. Now let's take our minds back to this morning. And what at the time seemed to be quite an impressive, well, I thought, Microsoft conference.
I think you got a bit overexcited, to be honest.
And
you haven't had much sleep.
Check out the video elsewhere on the channel where I scored it a whopping 7.5 out of 10. Looking back now in the context of what we've seen later on tonight, what do you think abides from that conference?
The Microsoft one.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I thought it was good. They had some good games, they had some good announcements, and it was the sort of thing, it was very sort of 7 out of 10. And the whole way through, you're sort of nodding and going, oh, yeah. And there were games I wanted to play, but there weren't any games that I sort of absolutely kind of lost my shit over and kind of like, oh God, I can't believe that's just happened, which, you know, when you talk about Sony, like that was pretty much everything they did. I
think there's two things that stood out for me. One, not that it interests me personally, but backwards compatibility for 360 seems like a big deal, right?
Yes. Okay, so
that got a big old whoop.
Yeah.
In fact, like one of the biggest whoops. If we're whoopometering things, that's one of the biggest whoops of the day.
Xbox One BC before compatibility.
Yeah. And the other one was HoloLens. Again, I'm not going to stand around playing Minecraft on my kitchen cabinet, but when they demoed that or revealed that a few months back, it looked like the kind of thing that would never work. And we saw a man actually play Minecraft with his magic glasses on, and it looked really good. And I think if you're into Minecraft, that's going to be really appealing.
I think the idea of the sort of the alternate game modes I found quite interesting. Because you imagine sort of, like, for example, Division had that drone app, which they've now cancelled. But imagine if you could sort of do something like that in HoloLens. Like Battlefield, say, for example, the commander could look down on HoloLens and see all the multiplayer people running around. That sort of experience would be amazing if they do stuff like that. I
thought that was good. I mean, there's a couple of things, like Tomb Raider looked nice. I don't know whether it's a lock of the week on our moments board. It looked quite good. I honestly thought Gears looked super generic and boring for me, but you know, I could be in a minority there. Those would be the two I'd pick from Microsoft, really. Do you want another one?
We're going to put Tomb Raider on, question mark, right?
We may revisit Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I've got a feeling this is not going to survive the cut.
Yeah.
But we're going to throw it in. Tomb Raider, question mark. So that's it. So that's Microsoft. And at the time, it felt pretty packed with moments. Now, less so. Now we move on to EA.
Yeah.
Now, EA again feels probably quite easy to pin the tail on the magical donkey here.
Absolutely.
What are the big moments?
Well, there was 3 moments. If it was like sort of a heartbeat monitor, it had 3 big peaks and then a lot of flat lines in between. It had started with Mass Effect early doors, Mass Effect Andromeda. We actually saw a little bit of gameplay. That was exciting. We had Mirror's Edge, lots of gameplay, beautiful looking game. And then we had Star Wars Battlefront, which nearly caused people to pass out. So it was pretty impressive, to be honest. Like Leon says, as a conference as a whole, it's definitely the weakest of the day, because there was about 40 minutes in there where the room collectively basically fell asleep, when there was lots of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, followed by mobile stuff, followed by really, really niche apps for your sports games or whatever. But you know, in and amongst all of that was 3 big games. So there was Mass Effect, Star Wars, Exclam, and Mirror's Edge. So those are your big EA moments.
Mirror's Edge is going to head up the top of the second page. Look at that! What the hell is that?
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge. That's actually the really.
But I mean, what EA failed to do was be as self-aware as Bethesda were, and think that we all care about NFL draft things and stuff like that. It's like, that's not unimportant to a certain section of their players. But you can put those releases out not on your press conference. I think
it feels sensational that we were like meters away from the greatest football player of all time. But it felt not that exciting and slightly inappropriate.
When he came out, I thought, oh, cool, that's Pele. But he could have walked out and walked back again. Such was his contribution to the show.
Everyone.
As a gaming conference, it really wasn't that important, but it was cool.
If Pele had come on, let's say at the Xbox conference, and gone, hey guys, the Shenmue Kickstarter starts.
Oh, you've spoiled it now.
I know, I've spoiled it, right. So there we go, that's EA. I think no more debate with what's to come from them. Ubisoft, next up. What was hot from the Ubi conference, Leon?
I don't know if anything really stood out. I mean, sort of Ghost Recon at the end was a bit of a surprise, because everyone was trying to guess that you was going to call a Juarez and trying to work out what it was, and it sort of looked quite nice. Division looked good, but it's a known quantity. They had For Honor, which basically looked like Dynasty Wars with beards.
I'm not having that. That looked weird.
It was.
It's Ghost Recon, I think. It's Ghost Recon's the one. Because we'd been talking all week. We knew there was going to be.
No.
We knew there was going to be a new game announced at the end of the show, and I'd heard every guess under the sun, and no one had said Ghost Recon, and it looked cool. But it looked like yet another 4-player co-op shooter. Basically looked like Mercenaries meets Far Cry with a bit of Just Cause thrown in. And oddly, which is fine, but, put it on.
I thought it looked good, right?
It looked interesting. One thing I thought was quite odd was the whole point of Ghost Recon is always that future thing, all the tech, all the stuff, and they just looked like the guys from Medal of Honor.
That's why I thought it was Juarez, because it was set in South America with like gilded weaponry and loads of drugs everywhere. But it did look cool.
And more to the point, it's been a busy day. What's the subtitle? Ghost Recon
Wildlands.
The notebook back. I don't know. We're going to
call it Wildlands, and if in fact it was actually something else.
It is Wildlands. So getting a thumbs up from the producer here.
Lampoonus
Wildlands, yes.
Wildlands.
Right.
But that did have it did have that whole weird co-op thing, didn't it? Co-op. It looked like it was going to be part of like a larger global online thing.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that it was open world, like genuinely open world Ghost Recon.
That's cool. Pretty cool.
This is the thing Ubisoft said in their financials recently, wasn't it? They're basically all about just large open world emergent games, and they've sort of got the same model almost for all their games now.
That's going to become a problem if it's not already. But it looked fun.
We are, of course, forgetting Assassin's Creed as
Come
well.
on, Leon. Time's beating us, and we've got a lot to pack in from one last final conference.
Oh, God, yes.
Let's even attempt to pull out the magical moments. I'll write one now, just to get it off the bat, and we've touched on it. There's a game called Final Fantasy 7. That's not easy to write right now. And they're doing a remake.
I'm really interested to see what that will be, because obviously the art style looked like a huge step forward from the normal game, or the original game, which is little Duplo men. So will it be another RPG? Will they go more like Final Fantasy 15 with the sort of more action-based combat?
No, I think it's going to be a very faithful port.
Do you think we'll have the little white glove going
I think visually it'll look completely different, but I think gameplay-wise it'll be very, very similar. But I don't think we're going to see that released for a long time.
Oh, man.
2, maybe 3 years.
And I'm with you. I think that has to be a very faithful reimagining of what it was, right?
I think this is the biggest moment I've maybe ever seen at an E3.
I don't know. I think the Shenmue was there were people kind of didn't know what to do when that happened. There were like gasps, and people just sort of stopped breathing while they tried to work out what they were going to do.
Well, that's the answer. There's probably
right?
At least 4 things from Sony. Sony's showing was unprecedented.
Struggling with Shenmue 3.
So Sony's showing was unprecedented in the stuff it packed in. So so Shenmue 3 has a Kickstarter, which about 5 minutes ago was like 1.2 million into its 2 million goal. So it's probably done by now. So that was incredible. And they opened with the return of The Last Guardian.
Oh my God, The Last Guardian. I've given away a little bit too much.
That's a very different game.
Yeah.
What was interesting about that as well was that you finally started to see sort of some kind of grasp of how the gameplay worked, because I think that was a problem they had before, was they came up with this great idea, look at the big cat bird dog, and then didn't quite know what to do with it. But there you saw the kid using him to get places, pulling that bit out so the bar came down so he could climb up.
It looked so much like Ico.
Oh, didn't it?
Yeah.
So in such a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sound effects were...
The sort of slightly floppy animation when he was running, the jumping grab. That bit where he missed his beak and grabbed his tail was incredible.
Yeah, because you heard everyone in the audience go, is this going to fade to black?
Yeah, of course, you thought that was going to be
quite incredible.
And then there's probably 2 more. So there's probably Horizon, which is the new Guerrilla thing.
Yeah, oh my God.
Which was conceptually bizarre, but brilliant. And Uncharted. Kind of people got a little bit skeptical about after that first gameplay demo, and I kind of understand why, because it was very Uncharted.
Yeah.
This looked different. This looked like not a whole new Uncharted, but a bigger Uncharted.
It was getting close as well to that great sort of helicopter sequence in Uncharted 2, where everyone kind of couldn't believe that was what they were doing, and then you're chasing and you're weaving down. One thing I think is quite interesting with Uncharted is both times they showed it off live, they've had a slight mistake to prove it's a live gameplay demo.
I was wondering if
they crashed it the first time, didn't they? And then they had all the faffing with the controllers just to make sure you knew it was live.
Visually, it was astounding. Like when it cut from the cutscene to the seamlessly. I mean, it's graphically. So those are
That's
big.
And I thought actually they paused it just to let us revel in the scene for a bit, to go like, wow, all the guys are moving and doing stuff. We've got to trim this list to 10.
I think this possibly kills Tomb Raider, not as a game proposition, but like in terms of this list, right? That looked
1,
so
2,
good that
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think we got 12, maybe 12 or 13.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Are we just going to kill Tomb Raider now?
I think we probably should.
Right, one more thing has to go from our mega list.
I mean, for me, it's got to be either HoloLens or Xbox One backwards compatibility.
I would say backwards compatibility, because HoloLens has an element of future to it.
Yeah, maybe that's
I mean, I've got a pile of Xbox 360 games I could play right now if I could be bothered. I don't know whether just being able to put them in the Xbox One will make me play them again.
Was I that taken with Horizon? Was I?
I was
more taken
beautiful.
by Horizon than I was by Ghost Recon.
Yeah,
because it looked so different.
And it looked the weapons were interesting. It had some sort of different mechanics to it. There was some stuff in there, like when she slides under the dinosaur and like takes a pot shot at his belly.
This
did some
very
different
like
things.
a lot of other things.
Right. Yeah. So we think Ghost Recon's for the kill list.
Yeah.
Whack, you're gone, Ghost Recon. Absolutely out of there. We've got a top 10. This is really exciting. We're zeroing in on the proper big
Did
moment.
we ever think after day one of E3 we'd have a list that included these 3 things? We've also haven't even mentioned Media Molecule's new game, probably because it's too bizarre to even understand at this point. But there's a great point made earlier where that was called Dreams, and the rest of that press conference seemed like an actual dream. These are legitimate gamers' dreams.
I love that we were laughing. Who's the Shenmue guy? Because he took a picture of a forklift, didn't he?
Yeah.
And everyone's going, he's trolling people, like,
It's extraordinary. It's a day like I've never seen in gaming.
Okay, well we've got to wind it up for time. Let's just start. Shall we start at the top?
Yeah.
Or count down from 5?
Well, I think it's easiest to start at the top.
Let's just start at the top. Just throw it out there. Just say it. What's your top moment?
It's not my personal choice for me, but I think Shenmue, the reaction for that was astounding.
I'm not having it. This is like the biggest news in my gaming life, I think.
I've got the casting vote. It's FF. Number 2.
I think it's 1, 2, 3. I think this. Just
One,
because it seems so
two.
unlikely.
There was
it
a
seemed
moment
like a joke.
where people just couldn't comprehend what was happening when the Shenmue sort of petals appeared.
And then I would vote Star Wars next.
And so would I.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I would
This is
vote-
absolute coalescence.
It just looked so beautiful, like all the time.
Every time it came on, even again at Sony,
Yeah.
I got a little bit. I can't believe how good
Yeah.
it looks. Sensational. I think we've then got to go holographic lens. No.
I don't know,
No.
maybe. Mass
I think that's
Effect?
still in the
What else
realms
have-
of like no one's ever
What
going
else
to
have
own
we
one
got?
yet.
What's on the last sheet?
We've got Horizon and Uncharted's cars. Better than HoloLens.
Yes.
I'm going to play Uncharted.
Yes. HoloLens,
Wow.
HoloLens is still
Alright.
something that's off in the future that doesn't exist yet.
I think let's go
Five
Uncharted.
Uncharted cars. I'm going to make 6 HoloLens for the benefit of speeding things up, and for the fact that I've managed to create a sheep-based nightmare. Brilliant.
6 HoloLens, 7. My vote would be Mass Effect for 7.
Yeah, because that's convenient and it's there.
And then what have we got? We've got Mirror's Edge.
Horizon. I put Horizon last.
Okay, so Mirror's Edge, backwards compatibility Horizon.
Yes.
That seem
Yeah,
reasonable?
we're there. So 8
8
Mirror's Edge, 9 VC.
This system's brilliant, isn't
It
it?
really is
I don't know why
flawless.
no one's thought of
I feel
doing this before.
Glad we reversed it. And then 10 Horizon, just as
I
God
don't understand why
intended.
everyone isn't doing their shows
It's
like
all
this.
quite biblical. We got Horizon, BC,
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
prophetic, and then Shenmue 3 and FF to create
Yeah.
the Trinity. So there we are. That's our top 10. Unequivocally, at the moment in the lead is the Final Fantasy remake, closely followed by Shenmue and The Last Guardian, which were all literally dropped within minutes of each other. So imagine our psyche. But if you don't take our word for it, let us know what you think. So get in the comments on YouTube, let us know below, or head to GamesRadar.com where we have a news story going up, Leon, won't we?
Yep.
Or we'll have a poll where you can ping in your votes to let us know what won, or even let us know in the comments there what we've omitted that was glaringly obvious that should have been there, and also let us know if you think there's any chance of anything beating what we've seen. So thanks for joining us here tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, actually at 9 PM tomorrow, I think. So thanks again to Joel
Goodbye, thank you, Dan.
and to Leon.
Thank you.
I'm off to drown my body weight in drink.